Ladies and gentlemen, we're back with another video on the channel. This one is going to be a series preview between my Colorado Avalanche and the Nashville Predators in round one of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Of course, we finished with the best record in the Western Conference, facing the wild card number 2 team in the Nashville Predators. So I'm going to break this down. Now, for those of you who know my channel for football, hockey is my second favorite sport, and it is pretty close with football. I love football, but I also love hockey, and I haven't made a video on hockey in a while because I've been focusing on the draft and scouting, and I didn't even get to make a trade deadline video for the NHL. So today, we're going to be addressing what my Avs versus the Predators matchup will look like this year. Of course, the first game starts Wednesday, May the 3rd, and then I believe that they're going to go alternate days. So the second game will be the 5th, then the 7th, then the 9th, etc. So let's jump into this. I am rocking the reverse retro jersey for the Avs, which is, obviously the Quebec Nordiques logo in the Avs colors. And the player is Mikko Rantanen. Yeah, I wouldn't say he's my favorite player. I'd say probably McKinnon, but Rantanen is up there with one of my favorite players. As always, I want to remind you that Jesus is King. I pray that you give your life to Him. He's got a plan and a purpose for you. And I just truly hope you give your life to Him. Believe with your whole heart that He died on the cross for your sins. And confess with your mouth that He is Lord. And if you truly believe Jesus died on the cross for your sins, then you'll go to heaven. It's my message. I like to preach it before every video. I feel it's important as a Christian to share this message. And if it's up to you if you believe it or not, I hope you do. I hope to see you in heaven. And God and Jesus loves you. And let's jump into this series preview. So, starting off with the Avs top line. Now, I just want to say that this is based on what my thoughts are going to be of what the lines are going to look like, assuming everyone is healthy. I looked at the injury report for both teams. Now, I know some players are coming back for the Avs, and some players could come back from the Preds for the injury list, but right now I'm just going to go based on what I know and what I saw. So the top line, I have the top line being reunited for the first time in a long time. Landeskog obviously had surgery and he was out for a little bit, but Landeskog, the captain, with McKinnon and Rantanen on the top line, I believe will be reunited, but wouldn't be shocked to see if Landeskog's on the second line to start his to when he comes back, but we'll see. On the second line, I have the second line reinstated Valeri Nichushkin, of course, Nazem Kadri, and Andrei Burakovsky. Although Nazem Kadri today was out with a sickness, so hopefully that is nothing. But we'll see. He's been on an absolute tear. His best season statistically by far. Nichushkin is going off this year. He's having a great season. Burakovsky maybe struggling a little bit this season, but if he can get his wrist shot on, he has one of the best shots in the game. It's so quick, so accurate. Yeah, so hopefully Andrei Burakovsky just shows up in the playoffs. In the third line, I'm having JT Compher on the left wing, veteran presence, the young kid in Alex Newhook centering that third line, and newly acquired, I guess not newly acquired, but acquired at the trade deadline, Arturi Lehkonen on the right wing. He has proven himself, and he's a solid depth scorer. Yeah, he is a great depth scorer on the third and fourth line. This is one of the depth pieces you want to add to your bottom six lines. And then on the bottom line, I'm going with Andrew Cogliano, Nico Sturm, and Logan O'Connor. Of course, Logan O'Connor so good on the penalty kill, always able to steal the puck, skate down ice, and get an odd man rush or a short man rush on the PK. Nico Sturm coming over from Minnesota and the Tyson Jost trade. I think he's been very, very solid for us. Providing pressure, being standing up for his teammates. Just he brings it. I'm hoping to see Nico Sturm in the playoffs, and then Andrew Cogliano brings that big physical body, not going to be afraid to hit, throw his body around, make hits when needed to. So that's why I'm bringing him over Nicholas Abe Kubell. I think Abe Kubell could sneak into the lineup somewhere if an injury happens, but I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. Of course, I think the locks are Landeskog, McKinnon, Rantanen, Nichushkin, Kadri, Burakovsky, Lehkonen, Newhook, Compher, and I'd say O'Connor are their locks, and then Cogliano and Nico Sturm I feel like could be interchangeable, but I feel confident Sturm will be in the playoffs, and then we'll see about Cogliano, Abe Kubell, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Our defensive pairings, I think this should be no surprise to anybody. Devon Toews, Cale Makar. I think they're the best defensive pairing in the National Hockey League. You can disagree, but man, Toews and Makar together are just so nice. Especially Toews being a left-handed shot, Makar being a right-handed shot. They just complement each other perfectly. Both are very solid on the defense, but aren't afraid to jump into the rush. Obviously, Makar being super offensively gifted. The best defenseman in the league. You can fight me, Roman Josi fans, which, we'll get to Roman Josi here in a little bit, but that is the defensive pairing for the Avs right there. On the second line of pairing, I'm going to go with Bowen Byram and Erik Johnson. Of course, Bowen Byram, another young guy drafted 4th overall in 2020. Of course, Makar drafted 4th overall in 2017. Erik Johnson, the big veteran, the Condor. I have him being that bigger body defenseman, pairing up with Byram because, Byram has dealt with concussions this season. And so I think with Erik Johnson being that bigger body defenseman, and it could be Josh Manson too, they're going to protect Byram, not let anyone make a hit to have him go down. So I have Erik Johnson pairing with him and another left and right shot. And then on the third defensive pairing, I have Sam Gerard and Josh Manson. Manson being a very physical threat as well. When he's gotten to Colorado, he started to step up his offensive game a little bit. Of course, not the Makar level, the Toews level, the Byram level, the old Gerard level. But he's a solid defenseman, and he brings that size and physicality that you need to make deep playoff runs. Maybe we'll bring Curtis McDermott. I haven't really talked about him, but we could talk about him as well here in a little bit. And then Sam Gerard on the third pairing, I do think we'll bring him in the playoffs, but he has really struggled this season. I'm not a Sam Gerard hater. I know a lot of Avs fans aren't really the biggest fans and are wanting Gerard to get traded. I think he's having a down season, and I'm hoping next season he can bounce back and prove everybody wrong. Obviously he's undersized, he's smaller, but there were things that have been really just not my biggest, or the things that have really been or I don't really know how to describe this, but the things that are making me not like Sam Gerard this season is how many times he turns over the puck. He'll be skating through center ice and he'll just get poke checked easily and turn the puck over. He'll try a drop pass. It gets turned over. He'll try and just pass the puck in general, and it gets intercepted. And the turnovers have been killing us, which is something that Sam Gerard needs to work on. But we'll see how he does in the playoffs. Moving to goaltenders, I have Darcy Kuemper, obviously, as our number one. We need to sign this man to an extension at the end of the year. Kuemper has been one of my favorite players in the league for a while now, even when he was with the Arizona Coyotes. I think he's a very, very solid goaltender. The first start of the season, he struggled. Maybe he was coming over into a new team. But this second half of the season, after the All-Star break, he has really been on fire, been one of the top goaltenders in the league. I think he'll probably get nominated for the Vezina Trophy. He's been that good. I don't think he's going to win it because Igor Shesterkin of the Rangers has been unreal. Jack Campbell of the Maple Leafs has been really solid as well. And then Peter Mrazek of the Hurricanes has also been really solid. But I think Kuemper has been one of the best goaltenders in the league, and I feel confident. He'll feel confident in Darcy Kuemper's goaltending. And same thing with Pavel Francouz. If you want to get him a game or two, I would not feel worried at all with Francouz in net. He's been solid for us all year. He's been a nice relief for Kuemper when he needs those rest days off. Francouz has been really solid between the pipes. Obviously he catches on the opposite side than that most goalies don't. So maybe it tricks defenders up and, he gets an advantage that way. But he's been very, very solid for the Avs and definitely our number 2 goaltender. And he signed an extension recently, a 2-year extension. So happy for Pavel. And yeah, let's move on to the notable inactives. And I'm going to I have his name on this list. So the notable inactives for the Avs is Ben Myers. You remember him. He is a rookie in his first season. We signed him out of the University of Minnesota. He was the captain there. And the reason he is going to be ineligible is because we signed him after the trade deadline, meaning that, he could play in the regular season and get that experience if we burned up a year for a contract. So we signed him to a 2-year contract, but we burned one of those years to have him play in the final few seasons. So now he's on a 1-year contract pretty much, and he's ineligible for the playoffs this season, but next season he'll be eligible to play. Then we have Nicholas Abe Kubell. Obviously, it was tough between him and Cogliano, but I'm going with the size and Cogliano. But Nicholas Abe Kubell has been solid for us. Not great, not fantastic, but not horrible as well this season. Darren Helm, the veteran, I'm going to unfortunately have to leave off the list. Great skater, got a lot of speed still. Won the Cup back in 2008 with the Red Wings, but I don't know. I don't know if we do that. I think we're going to add some more size and physicality for this playoff run, especially with a ton of guys. Mikko Rantanen, McKinnon, Makar, a bunch of guys who utilize speed more, and we got a lot of smaller guys. I think we want to add some more physicality to the lineup. Jack Johnson, I have out, but him or McDermott, who I have listed next, could replace potentially Gerard if he continues to struggle. Ryan Murray, even if he comes back from his injuries. And then I have Justus Annunen here. I know he hasn't been with the team. He was with us for a little bit when we had some goalie issues. He's our future goaltender. I don't think he's quite ready yet, but eventually he can step up and be our goaltender. But I just want to write this here because he was with the team for a game, sent him back down to the Eagles. I think Annunen will be with its team, maybe not next year, but in at least 2 seasons. But I just wanted to put him here in case anything happens to Francouz, in case anything happens to Kemper. Annunen could potentially will come in and fill that backup goaltender role. Now let's get on to the Nashville Predators line. And, of course, you have Philip Forsberg, Michael Granlund, Matt Duchene, all of them on that top line. You know, it's a very solid top line. I'm surprised there's even rumors of a Philip Forsberg's trade around the deadline, but I believe they're working on a contract extension if they haven't got that done. Of course, Matt Duchene, former Av, is now with the Predators on that top line. And their second line, they got Kunin, Johansson. I believe it's Luke Kunin, Johansson, and Tomasino. Take it how you will. Take it how you will. It's not a bad second line, but I do think our second line is better with Kadri, Nichushkin, and Burakovsky. Then you have Jeannot, Colton Sissons, and Trinan. I like Jeannot. I like Colton Sissons, but it's tough. We have one of the best depth scorers in Artturi Lehkonen. Of course, you have the young guy in Alex Newhook. JT Compher is a solid depth scorer. We'll see definitely. And you have Tolvanen, McCarron, and you have here Luff. I'll move my face cam so you can see that. Moving on to their defensive pairings. I mean, no surprise, it's Roman Josi, the captain, one of the best defensemen in the league with Makar. We'll see who wins the Norris Trophy. I'm hoping Makar wins it. He has had such a special season. So is Josi, but man, I want Makar to win that Norris. He's been up for it for 2 years now. This is 2 years in the making. I think it's time for Makar to win it, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens when the NHL award comes. And of course, Fabro's his pairing. And then you have Davies and Carrier. Not a bad second pairing. And then you have Borowinski and Benning here for the third pairing defenseman for the Predators. And then their goaltenders is Ingram and Rittich. It is important to note that UC Saros is injured. I believe it's something to do with his ankle, I believe. And he's a solid goaltender, and without him, I don't know what the Predators are going to do. I mean, obviously, they got goaltenders who are ready to go, but man, not having your number one goaltender is going to be tough. And I don't want to toot my own team's horn, but we have a lot of scoring coming from everyone. Not even just coming from our forwards, coming from our defensemen as well. So we'll see if Ingram, we'll see if Rittich can hang on. We'll see if UC Saros can come back before the end of the series. But we'll see. If I was a Predators fan, I would be nervous right now. Then the head-to-head matchup. We're going to be matching up the forwards, every forward, the defense, and the goaltending, and we are going to be predicting the series winner. So, in my opinion, who has the better forwards? I'm going to give that to my Avalanche there. I just think obviously, I love the team, born and raised in Colorado, but with being one of the best teams in the league, having McKinnon, one of the best players in the league. Rantanen, Landeskog, Kadri, who's having an unreal season. Nichushkin, Burakovsky. Hopefully he can turn it on and he can be a solid player like he was last season. And then you have Lehkonen, who is one of the best depth scorers. I think we're really solid offensively. You have Philip Forsberg, you have Matthew Shane, you have some solid scorers, but I just think we have a little more firepower on the offense. Now, defense, they obviously have Roman Josi, and it's tempting to pick them, but I'm going with my Avs again because we have Cale Makar. We also have Devon Taves, one of the more underrated defensemen in the league. Bowen Byram, a young guy. Gerard, if he can step up and be himself of last season. Eric Johnson, Josh Manson. Not even to mention the Curtis McDermott, Jack Johnson, Ryan Murray, Jacob McDonald, some other depth guys. Obviously, not super great, super great, but I think our defense, with Taves, with Makar, with Gerard, with Byram, I'm going to give us a slight edge on the defense. And then for the goaltending, I'm going to give it to the Avalanche. Darcy Kemper's been playing unreal, and with UC Saros out, I'm sorry, Preds fans. I'm going to have to give us a sweep across the board for forwards, defensemen, and goaltending. And who's the series winner? I'm saying the Avalanche win in 5 games. I do think the Predators might take a series, of course. Everyone has an off night. Maybe Darcy Kemper has an off night. Maybe you give Pavel Francouz a chance to start. Although I think I'm confident in Francouz if we do give him a night to start. But I'm going to give us some leeway here to win the series in 5 as I think the Predators are going to take one from us. Division rival, they're going to play with some physicality, they're going to play with some authority. So we'll see. I do think they take one from us, but I think we'll go with the gentleman's sweep here and we take the series in 5. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut here and we are going to go over my Stanley Cup bracket predictions right now. All right, we are here on the NHL's website for the bracket challenge. We're going to go ahead and make my picks. Parker's bracket 2022, I guess the name's already taken. So here we are. We're going to start in the Western Conference. Of course, I already predicted my Colorado Avalanche winning in 5 over the Nashville Predators. Then we move on to some of our other division rivals, the Minnesota Wild and the St. Louis Blues. Now, of course, St. Louis has got Ryan O'Reilly, David Perron, Jordan Kyrou, Torrey Krug. But what Jordan Bennington is their goaltender. I like what Minnesota's doing. Obviously, Kirill Kaprizov, he is a special talent, another young talent, kind of like a Makar, but as a forward. Cam Talbot, Marc-Andre Fleury, that goaltending duo is solid. I'm going with the Wild winning over the Blues. I'd say in about 6 games is my prediction. Then here, you're playing a Dallas team which is struggling. You got Jamie Benn, you got Tyler Seguin, but Jake Ottinger, he's been solid for you. I just don't know how much I trust Ottinger in a playoff series, and especially with a team like Calgary with all that firepower with Brady Tkachuk. Sean Monahan hasn't been great this season, but Johnny Gaudreau, I can't see the Stars winning this one. The Edmonton Oilers and Los Angeles Kings. Now, I'm not going to lie. I've been going back and forth between these two because the Kings have been, they've been actually pretty solid this year. They haven't been terrible. But, I want to go with the Kings because we haven't really seen that series where McDavid and Draisaitl take over. But with them picking up Evander Kane and getting some help, obviously they have Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. I'm going to have to give it to the Oilers, sorry. Now, I don't like that because I'm picking the favorites in every game, and there's bound to be an upset. I think the most likely upset, it could be the Blues over the Wild and the Kings over the Oilers. I would not be shocked. But like I said, I have the Avs winning in 5 games. I'm going to have the Flames also winning in 5 games. Minnesota Wild over the Blues in 6 games, and I think the Edmonton Oilers and the Los Angeles Kings are going to take 7 games to decide the winner. Moving on over to the Eastern Conference, we have the Florida Panthers versus the Washington Capitals. I'm going with Florida. I don't believe they start the series with Aaron Ekblad, but they've got a lot of firepower. Obviously, Jonathan Huberdeau, you brought in Claude Giroux. I think that Florida, they won the President's Trophy. They won the President's Trophy as having the best record in the league. I think they're going to show that. I think they're going to beat Washington in about 5 games. Tampa Bay versus Toronto. This is tough. I've seen people take both sides. I've seen people have the Leafs winning over the Lightning, but it's also hard to bet against the Lightning, who have won back-to-back Stanley Cups. They're the twice defending Stanley Cup champions. I can't remember if you're getting Victor Hedman back, but that firepower of Braden Point, Steven Stamkos, Victor Hedman, Nikita Kucherov getting him back. Andrei Vasilevsky, one of the best goaltenders in the league. I think I got to give it to Tampa. Unfortunately, the Maple Leafs lose another series. It's just bad luck for them having to play against Tampa. They kind of are doing what they did last season, kind of coast into the playoffs and then take over when it counts in the playoffs. Boston versus Carolina. I think Boston's window of competing might be closing here soon with some of their veterans aging. Of course, you got Patrice Bergeron, Brad Marchand, Marchand, Pasternak, the perfection line as they call it. Charlie McAvoy on the back end. You got Taylor Hall. But I like what they're doing with Carolina. Prita Mrazek, Sebastian Aho, Teuvo Teravainen. They lost, what's his name? Dougie Hamilton. I believe they still have Jacob Slavin. They got Jesperi Kotkaniemi, who wasn't the greatest on the Canadiens, but he's still been solid for them. So I believe they signed him to an extension too. I got the Hurricanes winning in this one, and then the Rangers versus the Penguins. Of course, you got Crosby, Malkin, and then you got Chris Kreider, Artemi Panarin, Mika Zibanejad, young goaltender Igor Shesterkin. But who do I want to go with? Do I want to go with the younger team? Obviously, you got Capo Caco, Alexis Lafreniere with the Rangers. They're all young. I'm going to go with Pittsburgh, but I think it's going to be a 7-game series. I'm going to go with the veteran leadership. We'll see how Shesterkin does in the postseason. 5 games, like I said, for the Capitals. I will go 7 games for Boston because I do think that's going to be a tough series. Same thing with this one right here. And I'm also going with another 7-game series against the Leafs and the Lightning. Now, moving on to the semifinals, the West and the East semifinals, the quarterfinals overall in general. My Avalanche versus the Minnesota Wild, I think you should know who I'm going with. Of course, I'm going with my Colorado Avalanche. But then we go down here to Calgary and Edmonton, and this would be a fun matchup. I'm going with Calgary, though. They've been a solid team all season. We move on over to the East here. I'm not going to talk about these teams because I've talked about them before, obviously, in the first round. But I'm going with Florida. Obviously, Florida lost to Tampa Bay last season, and I think Tampa Bay could give them a run for their money because their Tampa Bay is still very, very talented, kind of just coasting into the playoffs. And I think it will be a close series, but I think Florida gets their revenge and moves on to the conference finals. And then who is going to move on? Is it going to be the Pittsburgh Penguins or the Carolina Hurricanes? I don't like doing this because obviously there's going to be upsets. So, maybe one of the teams don't make it, but we have the division winners for each conference moving in to the conference finals. Now, of course, we're going with my Avs. I might be a little biased, but I feel like this would be a fun matchup. We matched up 3 times this season, obviously, and they were fun games to watch. I feel like we're evenly matched, but I'm going to go with my Avalanche stepping up in the playoffs. We finally got past the second round here, and we're making it to the Stanley Cup Finals. Carolina versus Florida. As much as I want to give it to Carolina, have the 2, natural disasters in the finals, I got to give it to Florida. They are just an elite team. They are stacked. And who wins the cup? Well, it's going to be it's going to be my Avalanche. We are the 2022 Stanley Cup champions, battling through adversity after getting out in the second round in 3 straight years. Last year getting bounced by the Golden Knights. The year before that getting bounced by the Dallas Stars in the bubble. Then the year before that getting bounced by the Sharks. Now we finally get past that. We get through the second round. McKinnon takes over. McCart takes over. We got the depth scoring we need on the team, and we make it, and we are the champs. The tiebreaker score into the number of total goals scored in the final series game. Ooh, I think that one's going to be a close one, but I'm going to go with a solid 9. We win 5-4 against the Panthers. I've agreed. Let's submit that. And my pick is in the Colorado Avalanche will be your 2022 Stanley Cup champions. Thanks for watching.